Well, welcome to this video. This is Craig Hain, and this is chapter number 2 of the book How and Why Homeschool Math Can Be Vastly Superior to Public School Math. Now, this book is published by Triad Math Inc., the company that is our parent company, and I'm Craig Hain, and you can learn all about me at my website, craighain.com. And this video is about chapter 2. Which is entitled Math ? Help. Now, this chapter is for a parent with a child who is struggling with math. Now, if you have a student that likes math and is not struggling, just go on to chapter 3. And a lot of what I will discuss in this chapter will be repeated there, but much more too. Now, we have 3 questions that we're going to discuss that a parent might have that has a struggling child, and then 7 questions that we need to be able to answer to the student. And these questions should help both the parent and the student who's struggling. Now, Math Help is a 24-page ebook that I wrote back in 2013 for parents that have a child who's struggling with math at the middle or high school level. This is post-elementary. And as I said, I wrote it back in 2013. Now, you can go to homeschoolertoday.com and click on the free resources tab and then the educational tab and so on and get a copy of this book. It's free. And I suggest that you think about that. Now, let me show you real quickly how to do that. You want to go to Homeschooler Today. And if you look down here, there's a free resources tab. And when you click on that, that will take you to Learn, Play, Connect, which is our website that has lots and lots and lots of free resources, all sorts of things. And if you go to the Educational tab, then you want to come down to the 4th one down, it says eBooks, and click on that. When you click on that, you'll see a lot of eBooks. Now, the one we're going to talk about today is the Math Help. And if you click on the Get PDF, then you'll get the PDF of the Math Help book, and we will talk about that in a little while. But right now, I'll go back to the chapter here in our book. Now, here's what I suggest you do. I suggest that you think about what you think are the answers to these 10 questions I'm going to be asking. Some are for the child, some are for you. If you have already understood what I cover in the introduction and in chapter 1, you probably know the answers to most of these questions. But ultimately, you've got to come up with answers that you understand and believe in, and then you've got to act on them in the best way that you're able to for your child. Now, here are the questions that I want you to think about, and I'm going to talk to you about. And I'm going to give you sort of my answers very quick and concisely. Why is my child struggling with math? Why do you think that is? You probably know now, based on what you've already learned in Introduction in Chapter 1. Well, what can I do about it for my child? Maybe you know about that. I'll certainly tell you before the end of this video and this chapter. What's math all about? Now, this is something the child might have. Well, what's math all about? Why is math hard for me? Is it my fault I have trouble with math, or am I stupid? How can I understand math? Can math be easy for me? Can math be fun for me? And indeed, what good is math going to do me? And then once these questions are answered to the child's satisfaction and understanding, then the child is probably going to say, well, okay, what should I do? What should I do right now? Now, all of these are answered, my answers, in quite a bit of detail in the ebook, Math Help. And so I strongly suggest that you study that if this video or this chapter is not adequate for you right now. But let me give you now my short answers. And by the way, I urge you to pause the video right now and see what you think the answers to these questions are at your current level of understanding. And now I'm going to give you my very short answers. And like I said, if you go to Math Help, that book, you'll get a much more detailed answer. Okay, why is my child struggling with math? Well, you should know from Chapter 1. It's probably a combination of poor pedagogy and poor content. And I explain all about spike pedagogy and why that is the way to teach math. Indeed, question number 2, what can I do for my child? Well, you need to deliver your child very good content that's appropriate for your child using spike pedagogy. Now I'm going to talk more about the good content a little bit later in this chapter. Now the child might say, well, what's math all about? Well, it's very simple. It's about numbers and geometry. Now, most children know what numbers are. They should know by now, and you probably should have given them some practical geometry by now. If you haven't done that, while they were still at the elementary level, go look at my Uncle Jack videos at Homeschooler Today and see how my Uncle Jack taught me numbers and geometry all the way up till I was through the 8th grade. It was just amazing what he taught me, and it gave me tremendous confidence and self-esteem. It put me ahead of my classmates in the public school I went to. In fact, a lot of times I was ahead of my teachers. Uncle Jack taught me things my teachers didn't know. Very practical stuff. He was not a math teacher. He was a barber and a builder. And you'll learn all about that if you watch my preface to this book. I talk a lot about that in my preface. Now, the child may say, well, why is math hard for me? Well, question number 1 answers that. It's not been taught properly. The wrong content, perhaps, and more importantly, the wrong pedagogy. So it's not the child's fault. Say, look, it isn't your fault you've had trouble with math. What will often happen is you've had a child that's maybe been in a class somewhere and has gotten behind, just can't keep up with it or whatever. And if it wasn't using spike pedagogy or if it wasn't using the right content, that's the problem. So it's not your fault, the child's fault, why the math was hard. Now, some children think they're stupid. Well, am I stupid? No, you're not stupid. As a matter of fact, I tell a child, math is no harder than the games that you play that you're really quite good at. Any kind of games that your child is good at, whether it's card games or video games or just all sorts of games, if a child can play games, a child can learn math, believe me, because math is no harder than a game. In fact, it is really kind of like a game. And so the child was, well, do you think I can understand math? And the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, not only can you understand math, you're going to get pretty good at it. You're going to be good at math. Well, what do you mean? Can math be easy for me? Well, yes and no. It's like any game. It's kind of hard in the beginning. You have to struggle and practice, but you're going to get good at it. And ultimately, it's easy for you. Once you learn math, the math that you need to do what you want to do, then it is easy. Now, it's like any game. If you're learning a sport, for example, in the beginning, it's a little rough. You make a lot of mistakes. You try this. It takes time and practice, a lot of practice. Math is like a sport. Think of math as a sport. Is your favorite sport or your favorite game easy for you? And the child's probably going to say, well, it wasn't so easy for me when I started, but yeah, it got easy once I learned it. And can it be fun? Well, yeah, of course it is. Math is a game. Think of it as a game. And if you think of it as a game, and it has all the ingredients of a game that I talk about in lots of other places as well. So that's what it is. Now the big question, well, what good is it? Why do I want to learn math? What good is it? Now here's what you've got to tell, and this is where your child has to trust you. It can transform your life. Math is going to empower you to pursue many, many different careers that otherwise you couldn't do. And you're going to learn many things that might interest you in either a hobby you might want to have or a job you might want to have. If you're interested in carpentry or landscaping or cooking or all sorts of practical things, or if you want to go to the military and have a military career, or if you want to go and work for a company in a technical job, maybe as a mechanic or a technician or whatever, learn how to work with robots or all sorts of new equipment, math is going to empower you to do that. Now, it's very important that you answer this question, and you might want to read Math Help, my chapter on that, and so on, but I'm pretty sure you understand that today. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs going unfilled today in American industry because they can't find people that know math. They can't learn the technical stuff. Math is the basis of all technical subjects. Okay, now finally the child might say, okay, I understand all these things you're telling me. I don't know if I believe them or not, but I kind of understand them. Well, what should I do now? What do you think I should do? Well, here's my answer to you as a parent. If the child doesn't understand the number system already, which they should by now, then you need to teach it to them. And I recommend that you use my Uncle Jack videos as a guide to do that. My Uncle Jack taught me number system when I was 4 and 5 years old, got me a head start on my life, really. And it was just a wonderful thing. He used Cheerios and dimes and pennies. You learn all about it in my videos. Then he taught me Practical geometry, the 3-4-5 rule if you want to make a square angle, the 1-2 rule if you want to make a third of a square angle, and things like that. It's all in my Uncle Jack videos. So if they don't know those things, that's elementary math. Now, once you understand numbers, the number system, how to multiply and divide, what it means, the concepts. You don't, by the way, you don't have to very good at the manual tools, because what you're going to learn, and the sooner the better, how to use a scientific calculator. We teach the TI-30XA. It's a $10 scientific calculator. It's a wonderful calculator, very easy to use once you learn how to use it. And we teach you that, and that's the first thing I teach a child. And by the way, they enjoy it. It's kinesthetic. They're doing something. They're achieving things, and you're the coach now. Every time they learn a new thing on the calculator, you compliment them. Hey, great, you learned how to take a square root. Hey, great, you learned how to do whatever. There's all these things we teach them. Now, once they've learned to use a calculator, and by the way, most children, if they know the number system, let's say they're 10, 11, 12 years old, they can learn to use a scientific calculator in a week, 2 weeks max. If you use our system, if you let us train them, if you let me be the teacher and you be the coach, they'll learn it in less than a month easily. And it's going to give them confidence. Remember, I told you in the earlier introduction and so on, and in the chapter 1, psychology is everything. The child's got to believe that they can learn it. They got to have confidence in their ability. Once they've done that, then they can learn practical algebra. And once they learn some practical algebra, and by the way, there's only like 10 lessons. I'll show you a syllabus in a minute. Then they can learn practical geometry. And again, that's nothing like what's taught in schools today. It's much more practical, and you can learn it quickly. And then they learn practical trigonometry. Now, the facts are, for most children to learn all this, they're going to be able to complete this in 2 or 3 months if they'll work a little bit most days. Let's say 30 minutes to an hour, 5 days a week. They're going to learn it 2 or 3 months. If they're slow, it might take them longer. It's okay. Who cares? What if it takes them 6 months? It doesn't matter, because when they get done, they're going to know more math than almost people do today. They're going to be ready for the military or the technical workforce. So all this is something that you need to do. Now, in a minute, we're going to go look at the math help book and look at the actual content of these 3 things. Now, here is something I'll tell you that's you might find this interesting. I have a 1-question test. I put that in quotes, that your student will be able to answer once they finish this program I just told you about. And I use this 1-question test to find out if somebody will benefit from my practical math training program, the first 2 tiers. Well, here's the question, let me tell you. And this is going to let me know if you're math-erate, if you've learned the practical math you need for the technical workforce. And here's the question. I'm going to give you a triangle, and I want you to calculate the area. The sides of the triangle are 8.3 inches, 10.4 inches, and 15.4 inches. And I want you to do this with your calculator in less than a minute. Now, very, very few people can do this. In fact, this solution, the efficient way to do it, involves many of the things you've learned already now, and it includes trigonometry to do this. And once you learn it, and I tell you, I've had so many students, once they learn this and can do it, they're so thrilled, because now they can prove to people what they know, and most people don't know this. And once you learn it, it's really easy peasy. But the facts are, very, very few people can solve this very common practical problem. The area of a triangle, for crying out loud. How much simpler can you get? In fact, this is a great way, if you're talking to somebody that's sort of a wise guy, I call him, or girl, and make a friendly bet with them and make it up. And by the way, you don't have to use these numbers. Just pick 3 sort of arbitrary numbers that could be the sides of a triangle. That means that no one of them can be longer than the sum of the other 2, and challenge. And then you take your calculator out and you solve it. In fact, do it 2 different ways to make sure you're right. I actually solved this in less than a minute. I did it 2 different ways, and the answer to this one is 40.5 square inches. So this is a kind of a fun thing to do. Now, what's an immediate action plan you might want to say? Say, okay, I understand all this. Well, I would say an immediate action plan, if you want to do something right away, is go to homeschoolertoday.com and enroll your student into the Tier 1 program and try it out. Now, that costs $97, and you might not want to do that. So a better plan, I believe, is you enroll in our family plan. And that'll give you 30 days to see how this program works for your child and for you. Because you're going to be the coach, remember. You're going to be involved with your child. Not as a teacher. I'm the teacher. But you're the coach. And if you find after 30 days this doesn't work for your child or you, and you don't like it, just cancel it, and you're going to get your money back. There's no risk. This is really the way to do it. The only thing you're going to have to invest in is you're going to buy a $10 calculator, which presumably you would learn to use that anyway, even if you cancel the plan. Now remember, you're the coach. You're the coach, but you don't have to know the math. I'm the teacher with the videos and the exercises and the quizzes and the learning management system. I'm the teacher. And on the family plan, I'm actually available to you for less than $1 a day. And that's 24/7 because it's all online. You can tap your child, or you can tap into this anytime and for any length of time. Come back 10 times a day if you want to, or skip a few days and then come back. It's purely self-paced. Remember the spike pedagogy. Self-pacing is everything. It's critical, and that's what you get. So that would be your immediate action plan. Okay, now what are you going to actually learn? Well, we're going to go to the Math Help book, and we're going to go down to the very bottom to the appendices. So I'm scrolling down, and you can kind of see these are all the questions I've answered in quite a bit of detail. All those questions I talk about in this book in detail. And then down at the end, we have an appendix. Now, here's what you're going to learn when you sign up for it. You're going to learn how to use a scientific calculator. Now, this is 16 lessons, and each lesson is a video, like using memory is a 7-minute video, percentages, 3-minute video, square roots, 5 minutes, and so on. And it has exercises, and it has quizzes, because you don't want your child to jump around. You want to go through this sequentially like climbing a ladder. And the child will learn to use the calculator, and this will give them tremendous confidence. They'll enjoy it. It's kinesthetic. They do a lot of practice. They'll make a lot of mistakes. You're the coach. You say, that's great. You're learning. And when they get done, they'll be able to use the calculator to solve practical math problems. Now, just to be sure they understand all the rules of the number system that you've taught them already, we review all that in what we call pre-algebra, and this is really reviewing what you should have taught them already. They should pretty much know all this from things you've taught them in elementary math, but if not, they're going to learn it now, and that's great. Now they're going to get into algebra. Now, this is algebra for practical math, and look at this. There's only 10 lessons. Can you imagine that? Algebra books they use in high school today are 300-400 pages long. They cost a lot of money, and this is all you need for practical math. This is all you need. I've been doing practical math in all sorts of businesses and industry for years, and rarely do I need more algebra than that. I know a lot more algebra, by the way. I have a PhD in theoretical algebra. I know a lot more algebra, but I rarely use it in practical math, only in theoretical math. Now, here's a geometry. Now, this is all practical stuff. This is going to be, how do you find how long is something? What's the area? What's the volume? That's the kind of things you need to know. Triangles, squares, circles, and you want to know areas and volume. Well, this is the geometry that you learn. And then you'd want practical trigonometry. Now, trigonometry, it scares people. Oh, my God, trigonometry. Well, if you learn practical trigonometry, it's just an extension of algebra and geometry. And there are certain problems you can't solve with algebra and geometry that you need trig for. And I gave you an example of that, the area of the triangle that I gave you. You need trigonometry for that. In fact, you will not be able to solve that problem quickly and easily until after you've gone through T7. You're going to use what's called the generalized Pythagorean theorem to do it. It's also called the law of cosines. That's the last thing you're going to learn, and that's what you're going to need to solve that problem, at least the way I do it, which is quick and easy. So that is what you're going to get, and I suggest that you sign up for it. And go to Homeschooler today and sign up for it and try it out and see if it works for your child. That's the immediate action plan you can take, and I think both you and your child will be just absolutely amazed at how easy it is and how wonderful it is, and you'll be able then to move forward and learn math. And this will lead, in my view, in my experience, this just leads children into a wonderful life opportunity. Whether they want to go to the military or go and take an apprenticeship and work on equipment, it's just wonderful for anything. So I highly recommend it to you. So Dr. Dell, I hope you've enjoyed Chapter 2. And now There are many more chapters to come if you want to fully understand why homeschool math can be vastly superior, particularly now if you have a student that gets good at math. And by the way, I've seen students that struggle with math, and once they get going, then they really go. And if you have a student that wants to go into science and engineering, they call it STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, then we have something that's really, truly remarkable. And you'll want to learn about that in later chapters. That's what makes your homeschool math vastly superior to public school math. Dr. Dell, I will see you in another chapter. Hope you're having a great life. Bye-bye.